Hello, collective. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel. If you're new here, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I was feeling the whole collective for the past couple of days. So Venus has entered Leo. We had that. I think Mercury went into Cancer. I'm not sure. And a lot of heavy emotions was something that I was feeling. So I was processing my own storyline, which is our inspiration here. And I was like, we need a karmic transmutation reading for the collective. And let's see where in the karmic cycle is the collective currently. Just gonna pick one card out of each one of these. Oh my god. Okay, so Taurus could be significant for somebody here. Can I get one card for the collective, please? It's either all of them or yeah, it's hard to pick one sign for the collective. So underneath we have Pisces, we have 7th house, and last but not least that card got kind of stuck in my hand twice. Not that I'm a card magician yet, but let's see what the collective is all about. So what I've been feeling is what I've posted in the previous reading, the Divine Feminine one, which was the throat chakra awakening, going into diamond forms. So this is for the whole collective of everybody that have a good heart. So whatever your path is, you're welcome here. This is your new home. And we do wild readings and everyone is different. So as are my subscribers, each and every reading kind of differs. But the underlying energy is Pluto in 7th house in Pisces, which is water, air, water. But the house placement is the one of Libra, which is relationships, platonic, romantic, and fairness, and, you know, justice. It's the justice card. I didn't want to use 2 decks too much. I didn't want to use, you know how I get. But I did get kind of like bottom deck energy, and I got Gazelle from Kim Cran's Oracle, Animal Oracle, and from my completely metal deck with a bunch of nude ladies, I got the Hangman, which, you know, the Hangman represents putting yourself in an upside down position, quote unquote, to get a new perspective on things. So you're looking at things differently, or you're willing to look at things differently. And Gazelle represents heightened awareness, ability, and vulnerability. That grace, that femininity of, you know, the perceptive artists, whichever line of work you do on this planet. The Gazelle brings in a lot of fire, but it's that calm, aware fire. So our main collective energy is Venus in the 8th house in Aquarius. So again, air, water, air. So we have a lot of Scorpio energy, a lot of Libra energy, and then we have Aquarius, Pisces, and Taurus as well, because Venus rules Taurus and Libra. So I did get a flash of Taurus. So this, I already know this is intense, because 7th house to 8th house transitions. Yeah, and I saw 0440 on the timer, which is collective. We are mirroring stability into the world. And 4 + 4 = 8, which gives us 8th house. And 8th house is Scorpio, which is also you know, Pluto is the ruling planet of Scorpio. So we have a lot of emphasis going on between the heart and the mind. So the karma that's being cleared out is that of Venusian energy, which is that divine feminine energy. But mind you guys, Venus is made of, it's a sulfuric planet. You cannot go to Venus, right? We will probably need like billions of years for Venus to cool off. So I'm getting that a bunch of divine feminines carry a lot of this fiery anger, but you transmuting this fiery anger and your emotions and your thoughts brings you into this Chazal energy, which is awareness, calmness, but it can represent hyper awareness or hyper vigilance as well. 555 on a timer. So let's see what we're going through subconsciously. We're going through the attraction of personal power. Am I holding these correct? No, I'm not. The attraction of genius to experiment with personal power. So we are attracting new ways. We are going back to those Aquarian genius mind spaces, right? We have gone through this kind of jewel, I don't know, it's like this metamorphosis of going from these normal colors to jewel toned colors and these diamond auras, and the awareness of the planet is very heightened, right? So if we look at us collective, we are a collective of, we want what's best for the planet, we want what's best for the children, we want what's best for our friends, our families, and, you know, fresh air, fresh water, good food, and just the basics. Like, we don't need too much, but our personal power is so vastly different for each and every one of us, right? Even if you are doing tarot and are, you know, even if you're really close to what I am, we have a different path, right? So your genius collective, your personal power, your personal genius, your personal way, your own way of making these new creations. And I'm getting a lot of us, we're going to step into Hermit 2.0. You heard it here first. So what's happening for the collective is Hermit 2.0. What I was feeling was, it's not that I want to run away. It's more about the need for true internal peace. And the more we tinker with our thoughts, the more we can compartmentalize and file away or delete certain cookies, or, you know, it's, I'm seeing this mental library of folders of experiences and memories and recreating new memories, right? So because Aquarian energy is 11th house, which means it's about the universal consciousness. It's about this universal brain. And I'm seeing a lot of like radio waves and ether and, you know, how we get affected by it. So what we are feeling currently, because the world is at its most tense that it has been in our lifetime, what happens is we get overly emotional, overtly angry or sad or overwhelmed by not having enough power, because in this world, power is financial security, and following your path may be more artistic than 9 to 5, right? So we have to balance our energies out between, you know, the outside life and the internal life that we are trying to feel. And the internal life that we are starting to feel is that of personal power. And what's happening here is you are attracting, right? You're not chasing anything anymore. You are magnetizing personal power with each and every day. You're finding new ways to enhance your personal power. And then we have pleasure from the discoveries of the mysteries of life. So as we get different omens in life, you know, we either internalize them or externalize them in our own domains. However, you collective, we are getting a lot of this sense of joy, this sense of returning. I'm getting like returning to self is like returning to Mother Nature, returning to womb. So what we're doing collectively is we're not just remembering what human means and feels like, we're also creating these spaces and structures for love to be able to live, right? So the more that we discover that life is a mystery, and as much as, you know, life is a mystery, as much as there's no such thing as coincidence, coincidences, and taking pleasure from the bad stuff happening sounds kind of psychotic almost, but it's this strong personal power energy, strong mind, strong heart in the collective, where you almost laugh at mishaps. Like something falls, you find a way to make it a lighthearted situation, because you are reprogramming, you're retraining your brains, you're retraining your hearts, you're clearing out a lot of the residual karma, right? And the numbers that I was getting, I literally wrote them down on my nail stickers, was 1221, 1222, and 1234. And in my theory, 1234 is that karmic wheel, represents you reap what you sow, right? So I know my collective has been good boys and good girls, and if you haven't been, that's why it's a bit harder to truly take pleasure in living your life, because what we are trying to collectively do is live from the heart space, from our true center, which is, what do I want, right? And some people would say, what would Jesus do? But that Jesus is your heart, right? That's your spirit that is guiding you through your path, through your life. So each and every time you decide to help somebody in need, it's a question from God that is asking you in your alone time, are you able to take care of this child as well, the one that is inside? And that is where most of us have failed up until this point. But that's something that we are transmuting, because we are gaining a lot of this hyper vigilance and hyper awareness. It's not, it could never come back down to just mere anxiety, because yes, we have been compartmentalized in society, but I do not believe as much in mental disorders as it is lack of expression and your body just twitching from it. That's how my OCD taught me to cope with it, right? So back in the day, I used to tick pretty hard, right? But then I had to find different ways to train my muscles and train myself to help these muscles to cool down and not get tense, right? Because when I was like 13 or 14, I used to have a strong, deep line above my lip, between my nose and my lip. And that was from a tic I had. And I was like, I'm aging so fast because of these tics. So I tried everything to not, you know, look like I was damaging my face, because I was so suppressed in not being able to express myself, or being told to shut up, or always being the smallest, the youngest, and not the smartest, you know, or at least considered that way, even though I was in my philosopher stone era since I was born. I should start editing these and insert pictures. But you know what I mean. It's the suppression of expression is what I personally think that creates most what we call mental disorders. But what mental disorders are these reactions, or the way our body and mind and soul project to the world, because it keeps constantly being stopped and misunderstood and judged and looked down upon, like, why are you acting like this? And I would say it's a lot of entities that attach to us through trauma, and a lot of the triggers are actually the openings for these entities to attach to us, and it takes us a long time to process that we have that personal power to dismantle a lot of these things. And so as is with negative emotions, right? So it's okay to ask yourself, why am I crying? Are these even my emotions? Where is this coming from? What triggered this? How can I calm down step by step? I don't know, breathing in, starting to get aware of your body, maybe holding yourself or caressing yourself. It's doing what we know in theory. And that brings us a lot of personal power, because we are teaching our brain that we are being positive, right? So the more that we hype ourselves up, the more our brain is like, yeah, we are a total hype myself up type of person now. Like, your brain doesn't really understand that it's cynical, that you're being cynical. It's like, oh, she's negative. Oh, he's angry again. But a lot comes from unprocessed emotions and suppressed personal power. And now in this next season, we are taking a lot more pleasure from the mystery of life. We are not worried about how the day is going to start and end. We are taking back the power of present moment awareness. We are here now. We're timeless, right? Imagine watching this reading as like in a shorter span of, distance. I am the star that has died for you and has fallen, so you can now in future, or we're together in this space now, but in the future you're going to see my path of death and rebirth, or karmic transformation or karmic transmutation. But it's a beautiful thing when it's not happening to us, right? But when it's happening to us, it's like we almost feel guilt that it's happening to us. Like, this should have been easier for some reason. But no, it's exactly as it should be, for great reasons. Yeah. Up next, we have good times resulting from the eccentricity of a major change. So again, as we have spoken, I think, in the Divine Masculine reading, I've said doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, is considered insanity, right? But that's just another false term of spell work. It's all magic of you not living in your personal power, you not creating a change in your life. So if you are having a bad time or a bad timeline, a period in life where you're just losing everything around you, or everything is falling apart, or, you know, beings and they're dying around you. And a lot of major changes have happened in a very short period of time, but most of it comes from this internal soul flame space where it's kind of now or never. So this major change was much needed and prompted along the path. However, if we're not able to look at our karma and process it and transmute our emotions and separate other people's emotions from our own, we're just going to go along living other people's lives, you know? Because when we take away from ourselves as being the main character, we give ourselves too much to people. And it's really hard when we weren't taught as young children to appreciate ourselves and to be proud of ourselves and to keep going and just, you know, stay motivated, stay in movement, stay in hydration, just those basics. No, we had to figure them out as we went through life, because we had to grow up in this particular way. So what I'm getting is a lot of young people energy that have, you know, experiences for decades of lived years that in reality they haven't lived yet, or even past lives, which the past life energy brings you this reminder or remembrance of personal power. Because once you realize that your experiences are a repetition of unprocessed, you know, lineage trauma, lineage trauma, or something that you have karmically done and have hurt people, right? So it's all about being the person that you would want to meet and not be triggered by their power. So it's a lot of balancing. Getting this Justice Libra, Libra energy again, which is Ma'at is coming in, the Egyptian goddess as well. I just saw her when I closed my eyes. She was holding a feather in the scales and she was just beautiful as ever. And yeah, the eccentricity of your path, your way of thinking, your righteousness, your, you know, willingness to volunteer a dirty job or something for the community. It's just, your hearts are so big that you don't have a choice but to enjoy these good times. I'm seeing the seaside for some reason, like a childhood place you may have frequented or where you used to go with your family. There's certain timeline collapses that are still happening in the collective or are going to start happening for the, like, another part of the collective, where you are just, you just prefer inner peace over everything at this point. And that's okay. That's totally fine. You don't have to make excuses. You don't have to explain or over-explain. You just need to set boundaries or limit your social media or limit your outings, limit your self, restrict yourself more and more because you want that for yourself, because you want to take the necessary steps to make this Hermit 2.0 that silent, dark, masculine, dark, feminine era without any vindication. So I'm seeing a lot of you guys retreating to this inner space of what does bring me peace? What does bring me joy? What does creatively open me up like what inspires me, and how can I inspire myself. There needs to be a lot of things need to be communicated between the throat and the heart. So the heart wants to come out, clear out. Your lungs want to be clear. Your lungs want fresh air. So you don't have to go on a full hike. Just go to the park and sit on a bench. 25:25 on the clock. Let's see what consciously is going on. What we need to do. So up to here we had what's subconsciously happening in this karmic cycle. And let me just emphasize the geniusness of Aquarian energy and the love that comes from Venusian energy, that divine feminine. Even in rage, divine feminines are very graceful. So when we talk about rage, it's divine rage. And 8th house is that I have a pretty full 8th house, and also my North Node is in Scorpio, and my life path number is 8. So even though I don't have a Scorpio placement, I think, well, besides North Node, I'm very Scorpionic in my life in general. It's just been cycles after cycles after spirals, and, you know, trying not to let go of God in these turmoils and in these trials. But we always get trials from God and from the enemy when we need to make that major change, when we need to close out a cycle, right? So we are being given an opportunity to either close out a cycle or go into another karmic cycle. And when we are able to really work from an internal space with ourselves on how can I stop doing this? What, you know, just like trying to brainstorm using that Aquarian energy of you're the genius. You are going to find out your own routines in the best way possible, the one that suits you. Don't even try to communicate with other people about how you want your routines to look. You can brainstorm, but try not to talk to people that are willing and able to discourage you or make you give you spell work with their mouth of there's something you cannot do, or there's something you're being ridiculous about. Because you reclaiming personal power also means understanding and knowing who to speak to and what to speak to them about. Because you already, with all of this heightened awareness and hangman energy, a lot of Piscean energy, you are already in that 12th house energy. So you could have 12th house placements that are important. You could have a Venus or Pluto in 8th house, or even Mars, I heard. But it's understanding the flow of life, right? It's about taking... Somebody here is very tired in their heart, like tired from finding ways to communicate something. It feels like something is falling on deaf ears, or somebody's talking to a wall, and your throat is getting tired and your heart is now getting tired, which also could for some people bring this major change. But let's see what consciously the collective is going through. So it says, cherish your vision as a life or death issue. What is your vision, collective? Write down, you can put like bullet points, but what is my vision is going to be our homework for today. Because that is something you need to start cherishing, bathing in it, and being infused by it, as if your life depends on it. That's the power of this energy. It also says, enjoy what's new and different about getting and using power. So when we close out cycles, or when we stay in cycles, on the other hand, what we are not learning is the give and take of power. So when we let people disrespect us, we give them power. When we talk about our ex, we are still giving them power. We're naming their name, we're telling the story, we're keeping the memory of that fucked up era in our library, our, frequently used cookies. Like, the algorithm of your brain just kind of follows what you feed it, what you think and what you speak and what you write. Those are all spells. Magic is all around you. Every advertisement, anything that is readable and your brain picks up on it, right? So I'm seeing nature again. I'm being pulled to nature. I was looking around and I was seeing, my room is pretty much a billboard of, if I just turned the camera around, you would be like, this brand and that brand and all of these brands of shoes. But what we need collectively is forest with no carved trees, preferably. Please do not carve into trees. They are sentient beings and they feel you and they cooperate with you and they sometimes need a hug just as much as you do. And that also might be something, because your path back within to your heart space, to that healed heart space, to being able to open back up, right? So we need a little, let's say our heart is a car, and that car needs to get back into the shop. And well, that car's oil was leaking. That is kind of like your anointment oil. So if you have been feeling overwhelmed, emotional, without energy, lethargic, flu symptoms, of course, consult your doctors and all that stuff. But if you have had these out of nowhere, just the energy, it could have just been these ascension symptoms where, your body and your soul and your mind kind of, not in unison, but one by one, realized that the oil in the car was leaking. So, we cannot let the machine go out of oil. It will be so much more, let's say, expensive to fix or change. And when we're dealing with heartbreak, it's the same. You cannot, yes, you can transplant a heart, but not everybody has that option. And most of us are dealing with low energetic budgets because we have let the car sit or run leaking this oil. So now we're at the shop, right? Now we're here. Now we're at the mechanic. The car's machine is still working. It's still, we got to the shop with the car, right? We're safe. So we are in the place where we will now repair the issue. But the issue was never the machine. The issue was never your heart. The issue was in the oil leakage. So whatever has been depleting you of your anointment oil, your mana, your ability power, it's clearing out, and it's hard because it's usually the closest goddamn people. They are damned by God, indeed. Yeah, I didn't mean to, swear in a biblical way, but I felt necessary to elaborate. And we're coming to that enjoyment of, so we need to first get personal power, right? This is my personal power. She's so cute, isn't she? And now we are able to look at it and admire it. It's just as if we take a stone, and this is my stone of personal power, right? Let's use this funky light. Whoosh, right? And that's my eccentricity. That's my personal power. That's me reclaiming my personal power, because this stone I had before I had any mineral. I found it, and I found it precious. And I call it the purple Andara, but it's probably just a normal piece of glass. But it kind of looks like, could have been a tool as well. But it has these concrete inclusions, and it's probably just glass for most people. But to me, it's a divination tool. And that is my unconventional, genius, Aquarian way of making magic in my surroundings, right? It's changing your perspective to first a different perspective. Then you're looking from that perspective to where you were, and also that shifts, and you kind of shift perceptions. And the way you look at yourself, and the way you look at your inner child, and the old, or however many years you will live, person will be proud of you taking these steps to close out these karmic cycles now, in this moment, when you are being prompted, when you are being called to do it. Because I'm getting this imagery of like going to sleep. If you're sleepy and it's like 8 o'clock, you are like, oh, I'm just gonna, stay up a little later, and then you cannot sleep for the next 4 to 5 hours. And you're like, oh, why did I do this to myself? It's the same in our personal paths of reclaiming our power. I'm being pointed to these cards now, which is kind of like the why, or let's see what happens. Honestly, the underlying energy of this karmic reading is Pluto in 7th house in Pisces. What's going on is, subconsciously, is the need for control of spirituality to ultimately experience balance. So whichever path any person takes, a lot of us is taking the spiritual path because that's just what we relate to, and it's more understandable than what other people are doing. But for most of us, we have this need for control, right? So to let go of control, well, how do we even go about it, right? So I'm a control freak, certified, and also my obsessive compulsive disorder doesn't help, right? And I could never have any power growing up about anything. I wasn't even informed about what's going on. So I have a lot of suppressed expression, and I have this internal need to have and speak honesty because of how I was raised. Everybody turned in their corner depressed and lying or hiding certain things until it's too late, and bills piling up and hoarding. And I have OCD. I have to have my things in place, even though I live pretty much in a room that looks like an attic. But I'm still managing to keep my common spaces in order, so for the things that I'm able to do right now, I have that tunnel vision of the path, right? So it's about also creating these shorter paths to towards losing control, losing that need to know everything, to hear everything, because we are surrendering to the mysteries of life, right? So the pattern repeats here because Pluto in 8th house, and then we have 7th house in Venus, and then we have Pisces and Aquarius, which is 7th to 8th, and then 11th to 12th house energy, with huge, strong Plutonian energy, which is it's just so intense. Plutonian energy comes in when we need to go kind of to the radical side, and that is the Hermit 2.0. So if Virgo is Hermit and Scorpio is Hermit 2.0, because when the Scorpionic energy retreats or disassociates or steps back in any way, it's being, you know, symbolized by avoidant, or it's symbolized by a runner, and that's not what's truly happening. It's this heavy water energy, and it's like water and fire, and just like chuck it at the end of our solar system, right? So Scorpio, to get his energy, their energy, they have to go all the way to the back, and that's probably where they feel the safest. And because the intensity of the power of Scorpionic energy actually lies within the waters, within the emotion, but also the path to self and back to society is one of the hardest, and that's what's collectively happening, right? So I guess certain Plutonian transits or planetary shifts have brought this up to reassess, and what's being reassessed is, have we worked enough on our inner control freaks and actually surrendering to major change? Or are we still living in fear? Are we still living in these societal constructs? Are we still living in the thought of, oh my God, what will my friends think? That's what I think that you should think about your friends. Whereas when it comes to real, good-intentioned, full-hearted, graceful beings of, you know, random strangers can sometimes feel more like family. And that's how, with opening up, of course, to situations, that's how you create a soul family. And that reminds me, I have to tell you guys, I'm going to Spain with my besties, Hannah and Niago. Hannah. So I'm super excited. It's much needed, right? Because I'm riding with you guys. So I was on this, am I on the runaway train from this environment? Because I just can't with this environment. But what happened was, I met the most spectacular human being alive, with, you know, their own karmic attachments, which of course was just a test from God. Of course, God, I hear you, I see you, I feel you, I sense you, I smell you, you know. And I was instantly like, this is a test, because my attachment styles were that of confirmation, that of control, that of possessiveness, that of, you know, that anxious attachment towards people. And what I've always leaned towards in my morals is being able to be in a either a community or a partnership or a, you know, relationship, whatever, where you can be wherever in the world and these people just have the best intentions for you. And doesn't matter how much time passes, the souls recognize each other. And because seventh house is, well, kind of these hands holding each other, right? It's like, I got you, fam. So your soul family is coming in always after each and every transmutation of karmic cycles, each and every small letting go of control, while still expressing your true emotions. Because the worst thing that can happen is you bottling up something that you feel and living your life elsewhere without ever expressing that. And that's how we hurt ourselves. That's how we think we are in control, but sometimes it's better to say the necessary things and move on with a lighter heart space. So next thing we're having is an obsession with trusting your psychic knowledge of cooperation. How does that all happen, right? I don't know if you noticed, but that's kind of what we've talked about. So an obsession with trusting your psychic knowledge of cooperation. So what I'm getting here is when you stand in front of people, you instantly psychically cooperate, right? Because as soon as people come into your personal space, they are in your auric field, and your heart can feel pushes and pulls of energy. And your psychic knowledge is actually your intuition plus your ability to follow it. Not just listening like, yes, I hear it. That's not having intuition. Having intuition is following your intuition. It's like an orb of light. It's like, I'll follow that way because even though the light is small, it will guide you correctly. Whereas if that's a very dim voice inside your head, you may follow another karmic cycle or not expressing yourselves in a way where you could potentially lose control over a situation or the outcome or whatever it is that you're actually trying to manifest, which could just be in another person, another situation, another country, maybe even astrally and celestially speaking on another planet, because the energy, the personal power of this collective that resonates with this message is, I'm getting such pain in my throat. A lot of activation is going on for the whole collective. I almost didn't do a reading, but I was like, I need to film before I go and all of that cool stuff, so the algorithm doesn't forget me. Don't forget to like and comment and subscribe. But following your intuition has almost become a tool of obsession. What I mean by that is you have found yourself at least a few times in a space where you had to kind of outweigh your obsession over watching tarot readings and your obsession over doing certain things over and over again or whatever it is. What I'm getting here is you are starting to cooperate with yourself again. And cooperating with yourself again means going back so many steps towards the little you and asking them if they are okay, and telling them that they will meet great people, that they will meet fantastic opportunities. The opportunities will meet them because they are so fantastic. And that's how you should speak to yourself right now in the mirror, right? It's we have a lot of crying to do. We have a lot of letting go to do collectively. Like, I could cry right now on camera, but I have a message to deliver. I'll cry in my private time. You can see I'm all tired from last night because when I cry, it's rare, but it's intense because I'm in Aries. My moon and Venus are in Aquarius, and most of the time my emotions come out the most or only. It's like most of the time I'm like, tra-la-la, life is great. But when my emotions come out, they come out through communication, right? Because my Mercury is in Pisces. That's where my water expresses itself. And it can be overwhelming, and my honesty and my willingness to cooperate with my intuition and still wanting certain thrills or wanting certain outcomes, it's reminding me of the time where I lost myself in a different person, right? Or it reminds me of the time where I was reckless and unmotivated because I thought that, while being ungrateful and not humble and egotistical, that everything is just, falls from the sky. Even though I grew up poor, I grew up with a poor mentality of not being taught to appreciate the things that I have. I would only get scolded and then not really understand if I get dirty and I get scolded, but I understood that these clothes were hand-me-downs because I saw them come in a bag of hand-me-downs. So what's the real big issue? It hasn't cost you anything. You haven't even tried to get the stain out. And I'm a small child, right? I'm like 6, 7 maybe. And these moments is where we lose a lot of our personal power, our power of expressing our emotions, our truth, our, just processing the moment in the moment. And we collect these moments as, a whole section of library in our brain, but we hold them in our heart because we are still hurting from the unprocessed emotion that happened in that moment. And a lot of these suppressed hurt moments are lost and unremembered memories, but the unprocessed emotion still lives in the body, and it weighs on each and every lung bubble, right? Energetically. That's what it feels like. And when there's a lot to release, of course, our throats are gonna hurt because the space is trying to expand. It's trying to burst out, vomit out almost all these words of, I don't want to be in control. I want my life to become this mystery that I am enchanted by, and I just go hopping from leaf to leaf like a fucking frog, just let me be a nymph, for God's sake. It's just this collective need for magic is getting so emotional and so strong that we're willing to run away from so much that we're even considering moving across the globe just to have that culture shock or have that appreciation for the simpler things or whatever it is. Okay, let's finish this reading. Okay, my reflexes are still working. This is a very short cable. A power struggle resulting from the indecision of or about your partner or partners. So it could be, you know, your love partner, your business partner, just your friend, your partner in crime. So there's a power struggle resulting from the indecision of your partner or indecision about your partner or partners. So what I'm seeing is you now feeling how caged your heart is and who exactly did the damage and how it has accumulated, and peeling each and every one of these, what looks like tar, like chunks, and you know, there's a special cleansing that needs to happen, either with water, with fire, with smoke, with dirt, just elementals, air. It's like maybe even all of the elementals, and just creating your own herbal, you know, remedies or whatever. That's what I'm seeing. I'm not saying that that's what you should do, but that's what I'm seeing. And well, Pisces is representative of 12th house, which is telling me to tell you that these partners are karmic, you know, and their indecisiveness is your source of leakage, of power, of creativity, of love, of hope, faith, your connection to God, your connection to earth. So what we are going to consciously now do to finally and fully transmute this karma is resurrect your dreams diplomatically. It's not about going separate ways in a big way. It's about doing it in a fair way, as is going into new cycles. What we're trying to do here is not be going into new karmic cycles. That's why maybe our bodies are physically shutting down, because I'm looking at my 2 lemons on my table, and it's like we need these vitamins, we need rest, we need some tea if you've been having storms like we have with these geoengineering factors. So to resurrect your dream is such a strong energy. I'm getting divine masculine energy. It's this force of power and assertiveness. It's you being the good tyrant in your life or something like that. So the word diplomatically, when I read these words, I feel and see energy, or I don't know how to explain it. But when I came to diplomatically, it was like, I just want to punch walls. Actually, however, you are resurrecting your dreams. And that's why you need to do everything diplomatically, because when we do things in a fair manner and just manner, in that Libran energy, we are being weighed in, you know, above ground and in the underworld. So let's pretend the underworld is kind of like our subconsciousness, our karma, our you know, cycles that we're trying to decode and break and not reincarnate. For some of us, to do it diplomatically in a society like ours is what's making us want to just do it in a different place at this point, because being unreachable, that was my emotion yesterday. I felt like being unreachable physically is a very good excuse to be fair, to not have time to hang out with the people that I don't want to hang out with, because these are people that I know for half of my life, and these are the karmic cycles that I'm closing out because I felt that I need to. I asked God many times in many ways, and he confirmed in so many ways that yes. And the new friends that I make, they probably have it the hardest, but also understand me the most. So I'm not afraid of the mystery of my personal power, right? I'm not afraid of saying, yes, I need to step away from this because it's hurting me on a much more profound level than this society might understand. And I'm not here to make you feel any type of way about it. It's something that I need to process within myself. It's something that I need to heal within myself. So it's not just the basic, it's not you, it's me, and I'm not running away from nothing. I'm actually standing for the first time in front of something that 15 years ago I would definitely completely suppress and carry on to my 30s. So get to the heart of your idealization of relationships. So how are we actually, the ideals, or let's say it like this. Most of us have this problem that comes from this control space. I can completely relate to this. So I have a good example. Idealizing relationships and getting to the heart of that energy. I need to pause for a second because I'm dying. So let me introduce you to my favorite drink on the planet right now. It's a Slovene product from one of the most beautiful places in Slovenia, where there's a lot of nature and a lot of friends, and it's called Morana. It's by a company called Morning Weed, and they do a CBD that's grown on Slovene land, and it's I wished for a crate of these, and I got them from one of my favorite people in the whole planet. And it has Slovenian hemp tea, home, like homemade, like home farmed honey and lemon. And this one has CO2. They also have a flat one, and they also have a gin version for my gin girlies and men out there. And the gin one is like a perfect summer drink with, gin that will just keep you kind of refreshed, like a seltzer. To explain this drink is really hard, but it's this most tender, it's not bitter at all. It's this tender hemp taste of just tea, just nature. And then Slovene honey and lemons. I don't think lemons are Slovene, but it's just these 3 to 4 ingredients, and it's such a refreshing drink. You can have it chilled or warm it up and have a hot tea, and oh my god, it reminds me of that twist of Slovene alpine winter with the hot summer fields, hanging out with your friends and enjoying music or bonfires. And then it has this CO2 spike that isn't harsh, but it's very like small bubbles. So it's not, if you're not into fizzy drinks, because I'm generally not into fizzy drinks because it's kind of too tingly on my tongue, this one isn't that. Morana is just perfect. So if you want to, they have a website. I think it's morana.si or .com, but can't miss it. It's the best hemp drink in the world right now. So go get your own and try it and tell me how you, yeah, shameless promotion of my friends. I just like supporting good causes and good people and good families and Slovene products, right? So if you want to support our export, definitely check out Morana. That's Morana for you, or morning wheat. And last but not least, we have do or die. You must be a part of something overwhelming and get a fair deal. So what I'm seeing here is an image of somebody that has been unfairly treated, and to ask you to do something diplomatically in this situation almost enrages you and amplifies your tiredness. So because you want to resurrect your dreams, because you are a person that envisions so vividly, you could have strong dreams or visuals, or you're an artist, like you have good drawing skills, like there's something about the way you can magnetize and manifest just by visualizing something. You're also, like on this card, pulling on other people's energies because you are so strong in your ethereal body. So resurrecting yourself and actually getting yourself a fair deal out of whatever this life or death issue was for you. It was either completely losing control frightened you, but it turns out to be the best thing ever. I'm seeing here the Sun and the Capricorn, so you could be a Capricorn, but you have been very patient with getting what you want and getting what you need. So you're focusing on the things that need to be brought back to life. And most of those things are very personal, internal pillars of your own consciousness. So I'm being guided back to that foldering and cleaning up the library and dusting the shelves and organizing by however it is pleasing to your sensory. But that's all happening in the headspace. So this is especially important for this is an especially important message for people that have strong Scorpionic, Aquarian, Piscean, Taurian energies. It doesn't have to be your sun sign or your Venus or your Pluto sign. It's just these energies are currently collectively magnified, and of course when we will need to and want to speak up, the enemy shows up and tries to stop us in our tracks, right? They try to stop us from living our life like it's golden, from being our best selves, from being in our personal power. And this also reminds me of an incident I have encountered just recently, past week. I've seen a friend after a while, and I don't like being toned down when other people are speaking in the same tonality, right? But I'm always the one that's like, hey, you, shut up. And that triggers me to my childhood when my brother used to do that all the time. And my friends may not know that, but that's where I separate myself from others so quickly without much attachment. But the attachment that I do have is, well, was up until this last time, which was just a final confirmation, my attachment was very sentimental and coming from this past life need to help elevate and get people out of certain processes of thinking or doing, because I saw the deterioration that happened. And even though some people, I'm just looking at this shadow card that I have here, some people could have been either, or you could have had problems with like being over sexualized or over sexual, or maybe even feeling like you're asexual because you are sapiosexual and you were around the wrong people and nobody just attracts you because nobody has that Aquarian genius energy of the way they think and process. And this is just a reminder that the more you take control over your negative thoughts, the more you're going to be able to follow your inner voice. And the more you're able to follow your inner voice, I'm getting very, very high-pitched ringing in both of my ears. So you're being brought up to source. You're being surrounded by very high vibrating beings. And the transition from this to that, from karma to dharma, from not entering a new cycle, but setting clear boundaries, firm boundaries, and also expressing your emotions like, hey, I need to set this boundary because I'm starting to hurt myself, my morals, my confidence, my self-image. I'm not willing to compromise anymore with anybody. Especially since my dog died. It's been different. I've been on this John Wick energy for a while, man. I'm sorry, guys. But this hangman is this woman. She isn't chained. She has these very kinky she has this very she's naked, and then she has these bracelets with the ability to be chained, right? So it has circles on it. But she's sitting on this demon. I tried to cover her everything, but I don't know. If you can see, like she's sitting, but she's not chained. So the demon is just surrendering. And that's you taking the reins over your demons. That's a literal depiction of the gate that you have come through was because of your light cloak. So she's holding kind of like this veily light cloak, and that's the only thing that she's holding. She's in her full feminine force. She has very strong legs. She's a very beautiful looking woman. She's blonde. You could be blonde if you're a woman watching this, or any other color, doesn't matter. But the demon is leaking some green stuff. He's stuck between this weird concrete. It's as if a tomb collapsed, and she's just like, well, her personal power made the tomb kind of squish the demon so she can sit on it and watch him leak his, you know, it looks like kryptonite because it's green on the bottom of this demon. And his arms are like trying to get out, but he can't. So your personal power of closing out cycles, because right underneath that we have the World card, and right underneath that the King of Pentacles, and then we have Capricorn second house, which is Earth. And collectively we're becoming not just the bosses of our own lives, but also the producers, the visual artists, the one that comes fluff up our apartment and make it cozy, right? So we can sell it to our soul. It's investing into yourself with these new bright ideas of little ways of taking care of me today. And it doesn't have to be consistent, and it doesn't have to be every day. It just has to be something that you create for yourself, whether it be, I don't know, today I will start learning to draw. I'm bad at drawing, but I will not start today. I'm just setting an example. And today I draw a snail. Tomorrow I try a different animal. That is me showing love to my interest, right? And the more I show love to my interests, which is, you know, doing these readings for you, or placing my stones differently, that is my own eccentricity of moving the energy. That is my little magic. I'm not saying it's an enchanted corner, but it kind of is to me, but in the most beautiful way. And now that I have been grateful and honest and just myself through the past few months, I've been able to magnetize so many items I didn't expect. I was just gifted or lent to, or opportunities to come be in nature, or, you know, just the things that I wanted to myself and talk to God, that like, how can I find motivation within me? And God showed me all these people that are willing to motivate me. And I'm already feeling better about myself, because you guys know I've been hermiting for the past 6 months and had a lot of these tense hip problems and stiff necks from all of my processing, my own, you know, karma, transmutation. And these things are necessary, because it doesn't always come in the form and the way that you want it to, because in that moment you're not ready, because you're not full in your own regard of where you want to be when this happens. So I'm seeing like we've set these visions, and because we're strong manifestors, they manifest today, yesterday, tomorrow, but in a way, in a different way than we may have envisioned it, right? So we're getting the opportunities just through different corridors and doorways and gates and portals than we originally calculated when we were looking down at the map, right? When we were actively manifesting or thinking about it or cleansing out emotions and processing whatever we were processing. So let's just get one advice card so we can finish up this reading. An oracle for me, collective, please. An advice card for collective, please. I don't want to shuffle them in an ugly way, because I have long nails and they get ruined. Oracle, wait for important information. That's why we were talking about, we have a snake here representing that self-healing. This lady has a snake. I have a snake. And it represents heart healing, because my snake has a green eye. Follow Liquid Luck Tattoo on Instagram. That's who this lovely tattoo is by. But it's this reminder, you are the oracle. You are also the important information, as much as it is important for you to wait for important information from your own oracle. So there's this energy of needing to kind of calm down, rest, recuperate energetically, and just push yourself into this final release, like clean cut, as well as ritualistic being and doing. It's really about you forming your own rituals of either chakra cleansing or exercising, whatever it is. Your rhythm is your own, as it is now, when it is lazy, when it is uninspired, when it is unmotivated. Wow, these two never came out together, and a lot of green and blue is very important. Sorry, I'm with you guys. So we have Direction Guardian with Choose Your Path, and Star Ancestor with Follow the Voice of Your Soul. And I'm being pointed at these galaxies around the Star Guardian, which is you, my collective. You all come from different star systems. And now we have met here. I just heard a really hollow, like when I said, and now we are here. And whoa. That's why I don't edit, guys. Trippy, man. It was like I was alone in a really long Harry Potter hallway. Like we're meeting as a council here on Earth, as a light council. So following the voice of your soul, your dreams, the fairness, your vision, the things that you cherish, the things that you find charming and beautiful and artistic, and the good times that you want to have, the major changes of the mysteries of life and your personal power. Those are all voices of your soul. Those are all of your past lives, reminding you why you are even alive. So we have another karmic wheel representation. This card reminds me of the Wheel of Fortune because of the Taurus, and I don't know, this is Aquarius and Leo and Taurus and whatever. It reminds me of that, but it's a bit different. So when it comes to this internal compass that's showing here, yeah, 2244 could be a very significant number for probably most of you. Choosing your path, it's not so much about your path is already chosen. It's more about choosing the direction, and you've been going south for a long time. You have been in your, I don't know, childish era, or you've been going west and you've been in your distortion era, and you needed some obstacle removal. And you know, we are constantly going from ourselves in all of these 12 directions that I like to theorize about of consciousness, right? But what we're doing is we are traversing the tree of life, the soul tree, which is pretty much tarot, but I believe tarot is missing a whole picture, but like a fifth arcana. So yeah, the directions that we are pushed into, guided into, or lured into are usually to transmute a lot of, I heard guilt, but I wanted to say personal, the control, the need for controlling situations or outcomes or manifestations, I mean, as well as manifestations. So the correct direction is always the center of your heart. What does the voice of your soul speak to you when everything goes quiet? What is the path that you would choose if all limits were lifted. What would Jesus do? What's that internal fire that's lighting up your code, your 369 code? What's disconnecting you from source, and why would you ever let that, when you know you have guardians in all directions? You are a being of source, of cosmos. Don't get yourself distorted, because no matter the being that you are today, you will always have wings, no matter the creature that you are. And you, my collective, are truly beings, yeah, truly the beings of the winged beings. Try saying that 3 times. The winged beings. Your chakras are, you're getting new chakras. You're being connected to the vastness of the cosmos. Your energy expansion goes out throughout our constellations, throughout our galaxies. So yeah, understand that with doing positive routines for yourself, positive, helpful, small treatments of your soul, is unlocking this magic within that will help you find the correct powerful people that will not affect your personal power or put you in a karmic situation. And a lot of things are being mirrored through your awareness, your intuition, your new perceptions and perspectives. It's just, this next cycle is very interesting, and I'll do a reading, but there are still certain karmic rules that are being applied to your situations as well as mine, and we need to be hyper vigilant when it comes to not controlling these situations or trying to control or fluff things up, but just speaking the pure honesty and as deeply and profoundly as possible, because we might not get another timeline to do that. Oh, that's all. That's all I have for you guys. Thank you for staying here for an hour and a half. If you have, don't forget to do the cool stuff that we are getting used to doing, for the channel, for yourselves primarily, of course. But if you have any questions, or if you're pondering certain ideas, leave it in the comments. I would like to see your perspectives or perceptions on how else can we transmute all of this karma, you know? So my advice is baby steps is still making progress on path. Resting and recuperating, not speaking, trying not to think, or being in an environment where maybe the water is louder than your thoughts. Trying everything to return back to the womb of cosmos and to that inner peace is something that is going to be on the other side. So karmic transmutation can only happen when we are actively doing things to clear out the karma and not accumulate more karma. And we all have our own rituals and ways that fits best for our path. So if you have your own, well, I would like to hear from you, collective. What are some ways that you come back to your inner child, and how do you on a daily basis practice letting go of control? And we'll talk it in the next one. Love you, bye.